How's it going, guys? So, I know during Full Sail we're using 2019 or 2018.4. I figured I'd go ahead and do this quick video to show y'all and just showcase some of the new features that Unity has added in here because I think they're really cool. The first thing I'm going to do is, well, the first thing I need to do is actually get Pro Builder on here. So I'm going to go into Package Manager and I'm going to get Pro Builder. And the reason why I'm doing this is because of the fact that, oh yeah, I'm definitely going to want Polybrush. But the reason why I'm getting Pro Builder is basically because I'm going to show you how to create holes in the terrain. Now, this is a completely new feature. The only downside to terrain is Unity still has not figured out a way to convert their mesh trees and stuff from the terrain that will work in the high definition render pipeline. So that kind of sucks. However, there are still a lot of cool features that you can really utilize, even though you're not using the high definition render pipeline. So those are the features I'm mainly going to be touching base on. So once those finish installing, we're going to go ahead and jump into it, which should be here in just a few seconds. Any day now. Come on, you can do it, Boolean editor. You can do it. Yeah, so how is everyone? I don't really expect to hear a response because, I'm recording this video and y'all are just now watching it, so you're probably like, good, I guess, and that's when I usually say, oh, okay, yeah, well, that's good. Okay, I don't know how many iterations there are. Hopefully it's almost done. It looks like it's almost done because now it's in the standard vertices and things like that. So now it is done. So, yeah, right. Let's go ahead and go into 3D Object. And we're just going to create a terrain. And it's a beautiful terrain. Now, one of the things I am going to do, I'm going to go ahead and change this map size. I'm going to change it to 200 by 200. I'm just going to set all these. The terrain height, sorry about that. The terrain height, that's basically just the height of the terrain. You don't really have to change that value. I'm just choosing to do so because why not? Oh, come on, Unity. I'm talking about all these cool features that it has, and it tries to do this to me. Oh, that's why, because it's baking. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here to lighting first. I'm going to scroll down, and down here that says auto generate, I'm going to turn that off. This will allow Unity to move much more freely. We are going to do baked global illumination, and we're going to keep this one off. So I'm not really too terribly worried about that. We'll just keep the default skybox, and everything else in here default. Yeah, I think that should be fine. So let me go back into the inspector, and the first thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to raise and lower the terrain. Basically, I just want to create some mountains. Create a good little size right here. So one of the things I'm going to want to do is I actually want to try and have this where part of this is flat. So I actually need to create a smaller brush size. I'm just going to come in here and, well, that's kind of excessive. Let me just drop this down. I'm going to change this to, say, 25. I'm going to change it to 15 because why not? And so the next thing, I think I actually need to set the height. And let's go and just set the height to 20. So I'm just going to set this height right here. There we go. Now the purpose of me setting this height is now I actually have a flat face on here that I can use as an entrance. So from there I'm going to raise the height. That was way too excessive. I'm just going to come down here and just randomly click in these areas. There we go. So normally I'd clean that up a little bit more, but this is just going to be a quick tutorial purpose. It's nothing too spectacular. So I'm going to go ahead and load up the Pro Builder window, and basically I need to create a room. So I'm going to create a new shape, which in this case it's just going to be a cube, nothing fancy. However, I am going to go ahead and resize it. So we'll create this cube. Let's see. Need to bring this up. Need to click down here and bring this down. And I'll click on these. Let me go ahead and just bring these out. Bring this out. Let me go ahead and frame in on this one face so that way I can easily see what I'm doing. You know, in fact, let me go ahead and change the pivot. We're going to scale these towards each other. Now I will hit backspace, and from there I can just grab these vertices and bring them on down, like so. And I think I'm going to go ahead and weld these. And the reason for this, why is it not? Oops. All vertices. There we go. So now I should be able to click on any one of these, and nope, it still did not weld. Why did it not weld? Am I missing something? Do you hate me, Unity? Why must you do this? Oh, well, that one welded. Why didn't this one? Okay, well, you know what? Let's go ahead and get you welded. What? Oh, okay. Well, you don't want to weld. Okay, well, you know what? Screw you too. Alright, well, either way, it doesn't really matter. Because what I want to do is I actually want to take all of these faces back here, and as what I want to do is drag these back so we have a walkable path. Now, whenever you do this, you're obviously going to have some of this sticking out. You know, probably something like that, I think. I don't know. So what you want to do is you actually want to have some of this sticking out just a little bit. So I'm going to work with this bottom down here. And the reason for this, you know, I don't know why I held down Shift. I shouldn't have, but I did. Let me make sure that I have select hidden on. So now I can select all of these. Yeah, I got them all that time. Okay, there we go. So what I want to do is I actually just want to bring these back like so. They don't have to be perfect. They really don't. You just want to kind of make it where they're all, I guess you'd say, hidden. Something like that I think should be fine. Bring these back right about there. That should be okay. Move that one right about there. Take this one, move it here. Move that one there. And finally I'll grab these two and move that one right about there. There. Okay. So one of the things that, as a game designer, you need to create a walkable path up here. Now, I could just create some stairs, and honestly, I think I'm going to do that just for all intents and purposes, just to make this a little faster. Stair. There we go. Sure. Let me go ahead and come in here. Oh, because I saw that selected, that's why. I'm just going to rotate these, so negative 95, sure, why not? I'm going to move that right about here. Okay. Now, I actually want to set the height of this. So I actually need to move this down, right about there. I'm going to move the height up, right about there. And in fact, I think I actually want to make this a little bit more depth. I'm thinking right there should be fine, so... Nope. Got to bring this down into here, right there where it's actually clipping through. I'm going to bring this up. Awesome. There we go. So now it's clipping through. It actually looks like something that someone built and the ground just kind of like, I guess, started forming over it over time. The thing I do want to do, however, is bring this more centered. There we go. So I'm now going to click on my terrain, and they've actually added a new brush. So if you click on this, go down to paint holes, and now we have this. So I'm actually going to make this opacity a lot smaller. one. Let's see, I may have to actually make this entrance a little bit larger. Don't know yet. There we go. Beautiful. Okay, so now we have this beautiful looking hole. And now you're like, but Jimmy. Wait, there we go. But you're probably going to be like, but Jimmy, that looks terrible. What are you going to do? Well, that's actually a very good question. So for terrain, we're going to use like rocks or something like that. Now, I already have an asset. Let's see, rocks. And if you're wondering what that Book of the Dead was, so that's actually something that Unity has developed. I have not been able to get it working on my system, but it's, from what I've seen in the video, it is just beautiful. It is gorgeous. Everything looks real. The grass, the trees. Yeah, so if you get a chance, you should really check that out. And obviously, I'm not sponsored by Unity to tell you that or anything like that, but you know, it is legitimately like really, really good looking. And because of that, that's actually why I've been working on trying to push photorealism so hard to see if I can get that same type of quality in my work. As a game designer, you usually don't have to worry about that too much. Usually that's the artist's job, where they will create everything and then the developers will go in and they'll do all the extra miscellaneous things. But it is our job as a designer to try and understand how to do all that and try to push for the best looking product we possibly can. And so if you're like, that's not for me, if you have that mindset, try to do this with like an open mind, where you're like, you know what, okay, I'm going to see what it would take to do that. I promise it will help you out in the future. You can definitely wow some people with some of the things you can do. It's just all about pushing yourself. So I'm actually waiting for this to import. Hopefully it'll import soon, because this is actually kind of boring. And it's like, it's slower than molasses in an igloo. I don't know how else to describe it. So while this is important, you'll notice that a lot of these features look different from the version that you are using. That is because Unity has actually completely revamped the AI. I'm actually really, really impressed with that. If you want to fast forward till this little window disappears, you're more than welcome to do that. But on top of that, they have also optimized scripts. So whenever you type a script and you save it, you come back in, you have to wait for this little wheel down here to disappear. Well, in the new version of Unity, they've actually optimized that, where it disappears much, much faster, and can actually take it on the fly in some cases. I haven't really had a chance to really push it all that hard, but it is actually, a lot of the updates they have done are really, really awesome. I am thoroughly impressed with how far they went with it, just to make sure that Unity is as good as possible. Someone was actually asking me the other day, do I prefer Unity or Unreal? What's my opinion on both of them? I actually prefer Unity, mainly because I'm a Maya user, and because of that, it's easier for me to navigate than Unreal is. However, Unreal has a lot of features that, I wish Unity had. But anyways, we'll touch base on it later. So now we have this. I'm just going to bring in a prefab rock. I'm going to duplicate it. I'm actually going to turn it upside down. I'm just going to start throwing in my own little artistry. And move that down just a little bit. Move that back. Right there. Looks good. Okay, so I'm going to bring in another rock right about there. And I'm going to bring in another one. Right there looks good. I'm actually going to scale this one up. Try not to scale too much if you are scaling. And the reason why, because then you end up stretching the UVs. and it can actually look really, really weird. So I'm going to bring in another rock. I don't want it to clip through too much. I do want it to clip through a little bit, but not too much. So I'm just going to bring that one down right about here. Go ahead and rotate it, bring it out. Let's see. Oh, you know what? We have a cliff rock that we can use. These, or this rock specifically, can actually be very, very useful. Let me see. I actually just need to have it rotate like this. Probably something like that, I think. No, because it's actually missing two sides. It's missing the back, which that would actually... I can actually probably use this up here, but it would be really hard to make it look convincing, so I'm just going to get rid of it. I'm going to rotate this one 180 degrees. The reason why I'll rotate these is because even though they're the same prefab, by rotating, now you're looking at a different side, so it actually looks like a different structure, I guess you would say. And so, like this one, I'm actually just going to rotate it like so. Something like that should be fine. I'm going to move this back in here about halfway. So, there we go. I'm actually going to click on this little guy. I'm going to bring him up here. Let's see, let me go ahead and rotate it like that. Rotate it like that. If I can press the right key, that would be great. So I'm actually going to move this one. I'm going to click on this little guy. I'm actually going to bring him out. I'll move this in. I just got to kind of rotate it in place. There we go. So now we need one more rock over here. Guess what I can do is I can utilize this little guy again. I'm actually going to bring it forward. And don't want to scale it. I do want to rotate it. Just rotate the crap out of it. There we go. And we're going to bring the rotation back. Awesome. I'm also going to scale this guy up just a little bit. I'm going to move it back some. So I was actually seeing a hole up there, and I didn't really like it. So I'm going to duplicate it one more time. I'm going to rotate it like so. Rotate like so. Do I want to do that? Yeah, sure, why not? I like living life dangerously sometimes. Alright, next thing I want to do is rotate it back like this so it's more even with that. Pull it forward. And, you know what, I'm just going to take this rock and move it back over here. I'll move it in there. There we go. So now we have an open area. You can see something right there, but, you know, if you were to work more with that or make that actually come all the way down to match that, you wouldn't even notice it. But now you have an open area right here that actually has an entrance for a player to go into. And so that's one of the really cool things about this new version, is just being able to do that. Before you had to create your own script that would actually cut out geometry, and I'm going to be honest with you, I have no idea how to do that. So I'd like to show you, go ahead and don't save. I'd also like to show you one other little cool thing. So if I were to go into I guess my editing software that I use, it's similar to Photoshop. The nice thing about Krita is it's free. So if you're wanting to get into 2D game making, but you don't want to have to pay a subscription fee for something like Photoshop, I recommend Krita. It's the same thing for if you wanted to become more of a 3D modeler, but you can't afford Maya, get Blender, which is this little application down here. It's a really good application. You can create photorealistic things. It just has a really heavy learning curve. I will say that. So I'm just going to create a simple image right here. So what we're going to do is I'm just going to get some green, and I'm just going to paint it like so. I'm actually surprised I was able to paint as straight as what I did. So I don't mess that up, I'm actually going to just, paint that down in there. I'm going to click right there, and then now I'm going to create some. There we go. So you can kind of see that this is going to be grass, this is going to be dirt. If you want to add some extra textures to it, you're more than welcome to. Don't know why I just did that. There we go. The way you do that is you just click on one of these and just start doing something like that. It's really easy to do. And then for the grass, obviously, you just click on the grass and you'd make this darker. You'd come in here, and I think this is the stamp tool I am looking for. Yeah, we just need to make it smaller. Yeah, undo those. I'm actually going to make this a little bit larger. Now, if you're watching this tutorial and you're wondering why I'm not going up to the edge, the reason for that is because you actually have to worry about repeating edges. So I'm actually going to click on this, and or better yet, instead of clicking on that, I'm actually just going to take this selection right here and this selection. I'm just going to hit delete. So what I wanted to do is I actually want to go into the layer. I'm going to go to transform. I'm going to offset the layer. So the Y, I do not want to offset that, but I do want to offset the X. I'm going to offset it halfway. The purpose of this is this way I can just click back on this grass tool, and now I can paint in the center. And we can see that those lines I made earlier, they match up really well. So I'm not even worried about that. So I need to go back to the splatter tool. That is not the splatter tool. This, yeah, sure, why not? We can utilize that, I think. Although I wish I knew which one I clicked on before, because that would make my life a lot easier. I know it's not that one. Although, you know what? We can actually create a really cool effect with this. I just need to make it larger. Right there. Looks good. Oops. Tell you not to click over there, and there I am doing it. Okay, there we go. Control-Shift-S. I'm going to save this in... I'm going to save this in the... no, that's not it. Let's see, where did I save these at? Ah, they're saved in the IND folder. Okay, that makes sense. Maybe? Let's see. Oh, it is in 10. And then it's in working. Okay. There we are. Okay, so I'm actually going to save this, and let me go ahead and create a new folder called Sprite. There we go. Let's go ahead and save this as ground. Awesome. So that's really cool. That's easy to do. I just clicked on the wrong icon. Because you know what? Why not? So we have Sprite, and we have ground. The only thing is I kind of buggered that one up. I actually meant to save this as a PNG. There we go. Awesome. So the next thing I need to do is I actually need to click on this. I need to change this to a sprite. I'll hit apply. I'm just going to leave all these default. I'm not really worried about it. So what I want to do is I actually want to go into 2D. And so here's the nice thing about this is I can actually resize this image any way I need to. I can do it in here, or is what I can do is I can click on the ground and I can actually just, because you say kind of like move this down just a little bit, something like that. You just moved on me. There we go. Okay. So from there I can just, duplicate, and I can move it over like so, and you can see how this becomes seamless. So that's actually really cool. There we go. So it's a seamless ground. You can tile it, you can do whatever you need to. But now there is one more thing I was wanting to show you. Actually, I don't even know if I have it pulled up or not. Package manager, here we go. So, sprite, 2D sprite shape. Let's go ahead and install. This should go pretty quick. Just waiting for it to load. While it's loading, I'm actually looking up a reference because I cannot remember how to do it for the life of me. But I know it was simple.
In this series, we'll be creating a simple...
I know it was actually really simple. I just cannot remember. I want to say it was like curves. Okay, well, let me just see if I can remember it. So we have sprite shape controller. I believe that's it. I think. I could be wrong, but I think. Okay, awesome. So the sprite we're using is the ground here. Why is it not? Oh, because of that. Duh. Yeah, that's actually really interesting. It is not pulling up the ground for the profile. So let me click on this. And for some odd reason, it's not showing anything in the scene, which is not really a big deal. Let's see, where are you at? It's not sprite shape. It's... Nope. I might actually have to put this one on hold. Yeah, so that's definitely not it. But there is a way. I could have sworn this was it. But, you know, actually, let me check something real quick. That is set up as a sprite. Okay. And so let me go ahead and get rid of these. What I'm going to do is I'm going to click back on this. We have ground. Yeah, see, that's weird. I don't know why it's not... I'm actually really shocked that it's not pulling up like it should be. Yeah, see, that's not pulling up at all. So, I'm actually going to have to look into this a little bit, because I was actually going to show you how I did this for one of the projects I was working on, but I'm actually going to save that for the very next tutorial, so until then, I will see you then, and yeah, have fun.